Hey guys, welcome back to Monday Matinee. Today, I'm talking about Scream 7. Spoiler free as always. Now, before we get into the movie itself, we have to acknowledge something. This film arrives with plenty of baggage. After Scream 6, the franchise lost directors Matt Bertinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillette. Then Melissa Barrera was removed from the project after some public controversy. Jenna Ortega exited soon after. Christopher Landon stepped in to direct and then left. Eventually, Kevin Williamson, the original writer of Scream, returned to direct. So that's not just trivia. You can actually feel all that in the movie. Scream 7 plays like a film that went through multiple identities before landing on the version that we got. And not in a good way. So this time, the film shifts back to Sidney Prescott. A new Ghostface targets her daughter Tatum, which on paper feels like a natural legacy continuation.
This isn't gonna stop unless I stop it.
The final girl becomes the mother protecting the next generation angle. Has some real potential. There's some thematic weight there. Generational trauma, repetition, the burden of survival. But this movie never fully explores any of that. But let's start with the positives. Neve Campbell is still solid. There's a grounded steadiness to her performance, which reminds us why Sidney became iconic in the first place. She still feels believable as someone who's experienced this nightmare multiple times. She looks great. She looks natural. She moves like Sidney. And she carries that quiet resolve. But the script just doesn't give her any emotional nuance. What's happening to her family, to her daughter, and to her husband, played by Joel McHale, should feel devastating. Instead, it just feels kind of procedural.
We're gonna do this together. You're gonna have to shoot him through the wall.
It's a little weird. The opening scene was kind of fun and had some energy. There's a playful use of a motion-activated Ghostface prop, which briefly taps into the franchise's self-aware DNA. And the kills in this scene, and the movie I guess in general, are definitely more brutal than usual. There are a few moments that got a solid reaction from my theater. And honestly, watching this with a crowd was fun. Slasher movies live or die by audience participation. And to tell you the truth, the theater experience here was more enjoyable than the film itself. So now for the bigger issues. The new characters. These guys are paper thin. They mostly exist just to stand in a room, react suspiciously, and rotate in and out of Ghostface misdirects. Seriously, the only time you really see these guys is after a Ghostface appearance, just for them to pop into the scene so you can question if it's them. There's almost no investment built at all. So when the big Ghostface reveal does happen, it doesn't shock or sting. It just kind of lands flat because the groundwork isn't there. It's definitely the weakest of any of the film's Ghostface reveals. A Scream movie entirely relies on the reveal. And if you don't care about the suspects, the mystery collapses. Also, the motivation this time around felt pretty muddled. It's either underexplained or overcomplicated, because I genuinely found myself trying to track who was connected to what, instead of feeling suspense. Definitely weak. Another problem I had with this movie is the setting. There's nobody in this town. Under the excuse of a curfew, Woodsboro felt eerily empty. The streets are vacant, the schools are hollow. Locations just felt staged rather than lived in. One of the strengths of the earlier films is that they felt embedded in real locations. The suburban houses, the college campuses, the New York streets and apartment buzzing with life. Here, everything just feels artificial. I'm telling you, it's really weird. Also, the physical logic in this film stretches past the fun into the absurd. Ghostface absorbs these injuries that would put down a Marvel villain, and then just disappears in between cuts like a stage magician. At that point, it stops being tension and just becomes cartoonish. Yeah, I understand, it's a horror, it's a slasher, it happens, but this one is a little bit absurd. And as for the legacy cameos, yes, it's nice to see familiar faces, but outside of Matthew Lillard's presence, most of them just felt like placeholders or a gimmick, rather than meaningful narrative pieces. They're only there to spark applause, not to deepen the story. But I think the biggest issue with this movie is this. The franchise has run out of fresh meta angles. The original Scream revitalized horror by dissecting it. The sequels updated that commentary for new eras. But Scream 7 just feels like it's commenting on commentary. It's self-awareness without evolution. There's only so many times you can say, this time it's different, before it's not. It almost feels poetic that Kevin Williamson, the architect behind the franchise's sharpest ideas, ends up directing the installment that feels the most creatively exhausted. I don't think that he's a good filmmaker, but I wouldn't say this movie is incompetent. It just felt drained. That's what this movie feels like, creative fatigue. So, for letter grade, for me, Scream 7 gets a D+. It's not aggressively terrible, it's just hollow. As much as I think it's time to end the franchise, I know the box office is going to be good, so we'll be getting some more. So who would like this film? This film is going to, of course, spark interest for those dedicated Scream completists who want every chapter. It's good for viewers who enjoy legacy sequel nostalgia, slasher fans who prioritize brutality over mystery, casual horror audiences looking for something familiar, or theater crowds who just want that communal horror experience. For further viewing, if you want to revisit what made this franchise electric, go back to Scream. It's lean, clever, and still feels fresh. And if you want something a little more modern that reinvents the formula, check out The Cabin in the Woods. It plays with genre commentary in a way that actually feels inventive, rather than repetitive. Alright guys, thanks for watching as always, and we'll see you on the next one.